Hi everyone, this is Kumaran speaking. Welcome to Cinemakaarargal Roundtable 2024. This is the first time that I'm doing a roundtable with some of the well-known Tamil creators in Canada and America. We have Ashwin Tyagarajan, an American Tamil video game designer creator who has an ambition to introduce the Tamil audience to the video game industry. Madhuvarsha Devaraja, a Canadian Tamil editor who became popular with her relatable and funny memes on social media. Vijay, aka Vicky, a Canadian Tamil actor who recently tasted success with the screening of his recent short film Dinner Party. Harish Pragaladan, a Canadian Tamil pianist who has been doing many music covers on his Instagram page for the past couple of years. So, in this roundtable, we are talking about Tamil cinema in 2024. So, enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to Cinemakaarargal Roundtable 2024. Happy to see you all today.
Happy to see you too,
Happy to see
everyone.
you all too.
too.
Yeah, same.
Great. How are you all doing?
Good.
Good.
See
Doing well.
everyone, you know.
Relaxed, enjoying the Saturday night.
Yeah.
Great. So, 2024 has been we have seen a lot of ups and downs. So as a cinema fans, I'm sure like all of you are closely watching Tamil cinema for like since your childhood, like you have a personal connection. So let's begin with that. Um, it's a better way to people who are watching this roundtable to know you, how emotionally you're connected with Tamil cinema. So tell me, what was your first memory or your first Tamil film that you potentially watched as a kid, and what is your feeling about Tamil cinema? So let's start with Madhu.
So yeah, Tamil cinema, it's always been like very close to my heart since childhood. And like I don't really remember the first Tamil movie I watched because most of the time, like my parents, they'd play whatever they play on TV. Because back then we used to have those VHSs, right? Like we buy them at Tamakada, and like we buy Nadhams and Tamil movies like for rent. They're like rented. I,
Mhm.
so we watched them, and I always watched them like halfway. I never watched a single Tamil movie fully until I was like, I don't know, seven-ish. Yeah, until then, like, but before Tamil movies, I was more exposed to like Tamil music, and so that was like my first memory when it comes to Tamil cinema.
Yeah, I don't exactly remember my first like Telugu movie either. It was like probably in the late 90s. I think it was either like Padiyappa or
Oh,
what's that one Vijay movie where it goes Entala Tuvarubala.
Kathak Maryadai. Yeah.
Kaadhaluku
Kala
Mariyadai.
Maria. Oh, I think I just saw that song. But my first, I guess, like actual memories of Tamil movies may have come from more of the 2000s, whenever and back then in the US, particularly like in the Sacramento, California area, um they didn't really show very many Tamil movies in theaters near us. The only Tamil movies I remember watching in theaters at the time was like Sivaji, Baba,
oh,
like the big Rajinikanth movies. But like for anything else, what we had to do back then is we had to wait for whatever amount of months. I think it was like 6 months or something after the theatrical release of the movie. And our nearest like Indian grocery store, like they would have the DVDs to rent. So yeah, my dad used to always get a movie and like. Yeah, I saw movies like Tirupaachi, Sivagasi, Pokari, Sandakori, um, this, that, and that's, during the 2000s is when obviously I got introduced to like more into Tamil cinema. And then like during the growing up, growing up like in the 2010s and stuff, going into high school and stuff, that's when it kind of solidified. And I think that's also when Tamil cinema was getting a little bit more innovative too, and in more recent years as well. But yeah, that's where my love for Tamil cinema kind of grew. It's like, watching these movies from my childhood and yeah, and the different display of Tamil culture and everything, right? It makes it special. So yeah.
Yeah, so I don't remember how exactly I got in, but I remember when my mom's sisters, when they came from Sri Lanka to here back in 2006, I think they introduced me to Vijay. That time Pokeri came out, 2007. I think Pongal time it came. So when I saw Pokeri, yeah, I started to like Vijay, his mannerisms, styles, fights, and songs, dance. I was that time JK, so I used to dance to his songs, and they used to bring a lot of Vijay movies on DVD. So me and my brother, we used to watch it, and then that's how my love for Tamil cinema had started. And during my childhood, I used to watch mostly Tamil films, then English films, and then I think after a certain age, I started to watch actual cinema, like those low budget movies with good story. Then I started to realize that like those are like very good cinema, and then they should come often. And at the same time, we should celebrate our favorite heroes, and without like putting them down. Like these stupid fan fights, right? Yeah, that's my love for cinema.
Like, I think from the time I was born also, I was a Rajini fan because Appa my dad used to say, like, even though he was an academic, he loved movies, so he would take me even as a baby to watch them. So even Hollywood movies and Tamil movies, they would show in Dollar Cinema or some other small theater before that. So he would take me to all those. The first Tamil movie I could remember watching in theaters though was around I was 4 years old when he took me to Padayappa. I still remember when it was
Oh,
showing in Dollar Cinema, the entire experience and everything. So
Padayappa.
Padayappa. அவ்வளவு அப்படியே ஞாபகம் இருக்கு. Like, even though it's almost 25 years since it came out, I still remember as a
Oh
we
yeah.
getting out the Namur metro, joining my parents and one of my dad's colleagues was so going to the theater watching it. It was crazy. Basically, what I'm saying is why movies and Tamil cinema is important to me is because, well, of course, many of us know we're all of Tamil diaspora. நம்மலாம் சொந்த ஊர் விட்டுட்டு like இங்க வேற ஒரு ஊருக்கு வந்திருக்கோம். And like, who are we? And like, especially that too, we're living amongst different people, different cultures. எல்லாமே. And of course, like you, Kumar, and me, Madhu, like we all live in like a French-speaking state, that too. So who are we within those? அது புரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுக்காக தான் like Tamil cinema, I feel like it's really helped me. Like I can watch those. It's like instead of always taking like, I don't know, a flight ticket to go there, we can take like a movie ticket. It's like a portal to seeing what our world is, like where we come from and the Madri. So it helped me to understand my identity, where my family comes from, my language, kalacharam, a way of thinking, ellame, and
It's
it just really helped me
pretty much an
understand
identity.
myself. So it helped shape our identities, la. So
Yeah,
that's why I
exactly.
think that's why cinema is really important to us, not just for me, but for many of us. ನಮ್ಮ identity வந்து shape பண்ற முக்கியமான கருதி அது. Like my dad would say, the reason he loved watching international movies, like when he was back in India, he would watch a lot of Bond movies or even international movies or even Indian movies that showed like in the foreign location by shoot பண்றது அந்த மாதிரி காட்டும்போது he said, ticket எடுக்காம, that's my way of going to travel the world அந்த மாதிரி. So I'm like, that's similar for me. Flight ticket எடுக்காம cinema ticket எடுத்துட்டு we can just go back to where we come from and see how that's like. So that's why it's important to me.
This year, 2024, has been a different year for Tamil cinema. So, what are the changes that you all noticed significantly in Tamil cinema?
Talking in mind, there's one thing I noticed. Like for Rajini's birthday a few days ago, there's a new track, a Cheeky Vibe, that came up for Puli. That one.
Yeah.
The one thing that really struck me, I was really surprised, is that Anirudh literally sampled a TR at the beat of the that was just like,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking how, I mean, for a huge star like Rajinikanth, we have like so many different kinds of songs, and like, அந்த மாதிரி பெருசா orchestrate பண்ணி they create kind of music like that. But now we've come to the point that Anirudh has sampled straight up another 80s stars meme into a dance number, and I'm like,
yeah,
I
well,
think that's one of the massive shifts that we're seeing today. Like,
yeah, that's an important point that you're bringing in, Anirudh. I'm sure Anirudh, like last year, he had a ball with Leo,
Jailer.
Jailer.
yeah.
And this year it was pretty much mixed
Mixed.
bag. How
Yeah.
was it? Like
Mixed
I
bag.
know like
They were big
Like
in
Devara, Indian 2,
yeah,
and then
Indian,
that new
yeah.
Dima song.
exactly.
Yeah,
Big in
Vertan.
Yeah,
mixed
very
Yeah,
bag.
good.
There was no
yeah,
much. There wasn't a punch to it like last year.
Mhm.
yeah. I
They were
think
all right, but
my
could have been
thoughts
better.
on Anirudh is that like I think he, in the 2010s, what was it, 2013, Why the Scullivery D, right?
Yeah.
That's his start. And he was just rising and rising, right? And then he got Peta. I mean, before that he got Katti and some stuff as well, but Peta really kind of put him like, okay, this guy is like a big deal, right? Um, and then with Peta, I'm not that wasn't necessarily his peak, it still kind of slowly was kind of growing, and then he had Master, right? And then after Master, everyone was still really hyped, and then he had Vikram, and then after Vikram, then everyone was looking forward to like Leo and 2023, and I think
Yeah.
2023 was like kind of the end of his peak, and because I here's my thing about music directors and Tamil cinema, and this is a trend I always see, whether it's Anirudh or A. Rahman or Harris Jayaraj, whoever, is that they at some point there's a music director that like is really trendy, and like the producers of the film, everyone knows that this music director gets like a huge audience, so they just keep hiring that one music director for every film. And the problem with music, and I don't really know, yeah, I don't really think I can blame Anirudh for this, is like there's only so many permutations and combinations of like uniqueness that you can bring into your music. And if you're doing like every single movie, and the directors, and they want like an Anirudh style for every single movie, there's only so much you can do, right? I think it would be better for the industry if like each movie had there was like a mix of like two music directors, right? There was like Anirudh for one movie, and then Santosh Narayanan for another, and A.R. Rahman for another.
Vivek Mervin, like they're a really good
Yeah.
pair, and
Yeah.
I've always
Sean
found Vivek
Golden.
Mervin to be like underrated. Like
Sean
they
Yeah.
Golden.
really
deserve more
underused.
opportunities.
That's true.
Yeah, like Vivek Mervin, and those other younger music directors. Oh, Govind Vasant and May Argan,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
96. Like that guy is also extremely talented too. So I think like if the industry just gave more opportunities like that, you'd really have like a very good musical library. Yeah. Not saying that Anirudh is bad, but it's like only like
He's
one
being
Like
flavor
they
overused.
just
now, right?
deserve more
Yeah,
opportunities.
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
100% right.
And
That's
now
yeah.
and now him Saya Biancar, he's
Yeah.
he's
Mm.
coming, and he gave like two banging songs in one
Yeah, in a
year.
single year,
So,
yeah.
yeah, like Kachi Sera and Asakura, both are like amazing songs. And
Uh-huh.
now he entered music direction with Benz and Surya 45. So looking forward to see what he has in store. So
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great he has a lot of potential. That's how we got Anirudh as well with the Why This Color.
definitely.
On the
And
topic of Anirudh and being overused, I thought I just want to bring up something. It's not just him, but it's also in terms of actors. You can see that, for example, Yogi Babu irkarla.
Yeah,
For the
yeah.
past couple of years, it's practically like any movie you take, you can see Yogi Babu in a role in it. It's like
Yeah.
this movie, Yogi Babu. Rajini movie, Yogi Babu.
Yeah.
Maybe Labar Pantu could have a Yogi Babu. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
If it came out in 2022, Labar Pantu could have Yogi Babu in some there.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I feel like it's just that's the thing. It's like when I feel like the industry is more chasing ephemeral trends that work for a couple of years, as opposed to actually, just to keep the audience's attention.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're focusing too much now, keeping audience's attention. The songs are much shorter now. They're like, reels friendly, I guess that's what we'll call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to orchestrated on the Mari.
Yeah, even like நீங்க சாங்ஸ்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா முன்னாடி like during like the 60s 70s அப்பெல்லாம் பாக்க like ஒரு பல்லவி மூன்று சரணம் அதுக்கப்புறம் எண்ட்ல ஒரு பல்லவி வரும்.
Yeah.
Then time passes by like 80s 90s 2000s it's like ஒரு பல்லவி ரெண்டு சரணம் and the end pallavi. And then now like after Anirudh entered it was like one pallavi charanam pallavi, that's it.
Yeah, Anirudh popularized that trend. So the more Moonu Padam, like everything else, like every star movie since then followed. The Vijay movies, everyone. And then
Yeah.
that became the norm. And like even A.R. Rahman, I think he adopted that style, even with 2.0 like that.
Yeah,
So that's
Yeah.
why it
Also,
just
like,
felt so.
nowadays in songs, like
It's candy.
it's like they won't do those stereotypical foreign location. It's
Mhm.
just like few shot. Okay, song's over.
Yeah.
And
Before,
pretty
like,
much nowadays we see also a lot of movies also not having songs.
Mhm.
They are finding a new probably aligning with Hollywood, changing their style of movies after Kaidi, mostly.
Yeah, Kaidi was like the starting point of it.
Exactly. So after that, and plus another trend as was violent movies. A lot of
Oh my
big
God,
stars
yes.
are
Yes,
doing
so
big action films with a lot of violence.
yeah, it's like filled with like so much blood and knives,
Exactly.
guns, and
Vetrimaran
violence,
movie.
everything. Yeah, most importantly, Vetrimaran
Yeah.
movies, Lokesh's movies, they're all
But
like,
this year, like if you see
oh,
big stars films, Veteran wasn't really violent. I guess before that, Jailer was a lot
yeah, Jailer was more violent.
very good.
Leo and
Yeah,
Goat.
yeah, Leo was really violent, but even
But that
Goat
was
like,
was
for the genre was okay. For
Goat was
Leo,
nice.
for the
Yeah.
kind of movie
If-
Leo also was okay.
yeah, in fact, my parents, they kept on complaining about how violent Leo was.
okay. Oh,
Yeah, last year we went to watch. My mom, she was always like, "Ayyo, padam fulla sanda தான் நடக்குது."
but
Like he
that
doesn't
was
even.
My mom
yeah,
too.
but that was a good attempt of it's a genre film. It's an action film.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the first attempt, I guess, that he did where the film is centered for action.
That's like his most violent movie till date.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Surya had Kanguva, again another violent film. So amongst that, we had a couple of films that deviated from the trend, and that was Labarpande, Meyyalagan.
Mayalagan, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we need more movies like Mayalagan nowadays because that was like a breath of fresh air. Like it was just a simple but sweet drama. We got Amaran, that was like celebrated by everyone.
exactly. That's well, that's a big surprise. Amaran is a biographical film. It's
it's a biopic, and
yeah.
it's by Sivakarthikeyan, who's like I don't know, like more than
I
like
could say
just a
he's
decade
almost
old or
an
something.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like a decade old in cinema. So no
Yeah.
one would have expected that a Sivakarthikeyan movie would cross like 300 crores.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
know a guy like who's done mostly like family friendly commercial padam. This guy took a serious movie.
Yes, exactly.
But I
Really
think what they
embodied the
did,
character. As an actor, he completely boomed with that movie.
Yeah, like post Doctor, like
take Sivakarthikeyan as a serious actor.
yeah,
That's
and
how it is.
post like after Doctor, like he impressed me. He impressed me with his script choices. Like Prince, he kind of like slipped, but he came back with Maviran.
Amaran, I'm impressed, but I feel like it had a good marketing, a good promotion.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was
like
gonna say.
they literally gave us like what they promised. Like they
Exactly.
promised that it'll be like not really like a full war movie, but like war and love, and like a war, like a love story in a war backdrop, just like that. So they literally offered us what they promised.
And they went around and spread that word, and that's why it got so much people from other states to watch it. Like Telugu did well, I'm sure it did other well in other states.
Yeah, and you know something? You guys know something? My parents, especially my mom, they're like the biggest Sivakarthikeyan haters, but they ended up loving the movie.
Oh,
yeah. So because of that, like they kind of have like a soft corner for Sivakarthikeyan these days.
Which film affected you personally this year? Which
like in terms of
emotionally, what film made you like feel like wow, this is the film?
Amaran and Vare.
Yeah, I'd say Amaran and Mayalagan.
Amaran and Mayalagan, Amaran and Balai.
Amaran and Mayalagan for me.
Okay, another wow.
Yeah.
Amaran,
but that's because I also didn't see Vare yet. I need to see that. But
yeah, I watched Vale too, and it was really heartbreaking.
Okay.
Yeah, especially
I get to watch Vale as well.
Yeah, there were a few wholesome moments, but at the same time, it was really heartbreaking.
Okay.
Vijay?
Yeah. Yeah, I get to watch Vale and Labar Pande, so I cannot talk about those. But of the ones I watched theatrically, at least, Amaran and Mayalagan, they're the ones that definitely really caught me. Although Mayalagan, one they really, I really want to go back to India now. Just go back to the villa, the
To
village,
use.
Sitra. I like
Yeah,
that. So you know,
I was
it's
supposed to
honestly,
watch.
you can feel the manvasne from that movie. It's that good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was supposed to.
There's just a lot of like in Mayorgan, there's just like a lot of display of like Tamil culture, Tamil how people in like those villages in Tamil Nadu live. Um, yeah, the world building in that movie was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, and plus,
Uh,
I actually regret not watching this movie in theaters. Like, I genuinely regret because we were supposed to watch the movie, but then like we backed out at the last minute. So,
Oh,
Oh,
but and that also means like I'm not lucky to watch the full version before it was trimmed.
Yeah,
I
the
thought,
first
oh
week the
yeah,
movie was shown in full. From the second week, I watched the second show, like the second week show, and the movie was trimmed, even here.
this is
yeah.
also something we should talk about.
yeah, this trim thing
It's
is
becoming
becoming
a
very
trend nowadays.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
It's been there
yeah.
Valimai,
movies getting trimmed, like
Cobra,
Indian too.
Cobra, Valimai,
Indian too.
Indian
Now this
2,
Even
Mayor again, Kangua.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, even
Kangua.
Kangwa,
Kagawa,
Kangua as
yeah.
well, yeah.
Kangwa, yeah.
What are your favorite performances this year?
I'll go with the Amaran team because I did not see them as Sivakarthikeyan, as Sai Pallavi, and that girl who played the daughter.
Huh?
I fully saw their character,
Okay.
and also Mayor again, Arun Murali Burman and Karti's character. Them also, I did not see like their shades. I saw their character shades. And anything else? And maybe in Malayalam, maybe Avesham, Papa's
Yeah.
character.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one's
Exactly.
also really good.
Amban.
yeah,
Like most of the characters in Avesham are summa panna irukum. Like Amban,
Yeah.
the Kung Fu Panta, the Tata,
Mhm.
the twins or the brothers or so, and like even the three guys that Ranga basically becomes friends with and like
Mhm.
talks with them.
Yeah.
And Ranga, of course, he's
Yeah,
a
that
vibe.
movie was a whole other vibe.
yeah.
It was so fun to watch. Yeah.
Maybe I'm not trying to say it as a Vijay fan, but maybe the Jeevan character because it
Oh,
was
yeah.
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
it was the first
Yes.
few time he went out of his comfort zone and
Mhm.
he did give his best. So I would give Vijay a chance too.
Okay. What about you,
Yeah.
Ashwin?
For me, yeah, definitely I'll have to say Amaran, especially Sai Pallavi's character.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially at the very end, right? Like
Mm.
that is a tough like type of performance. Um I know I've heard with Sai Pallavi's character like from people who speak Malayalam that her Malayalam wasn't the best, but I think I don't know Malayalam. To me, it sounded fine. But I think the performance she gave overall was really good, as well as even Sivakarthikeyan. Mayorgan I liked, especially like Karthi's character was really good, and Arvind Swami's character, he played his part brilliantly as well. I'd also like to give out a shout out to like Maharaja as well.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
yes.
We didn't
Yes.
speak
Yes.
about
Another.
Maharaja, yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah.
I was like, yeah. So, but yeah, no, I thought Vijay Sethupath's performance was good. Especially like I don't know if I want to spoil it, but in the beginning, how, huh?
We must have all seen Maharaja at this point, so
Yeah.
Yeah, we all
No,
watched it. So no
I
worries.
don't
They
know who
released
the
it in
audience.
China as well, so.
Oh, true.
It's really
Okay.
good.
Maybe Kura
But
Prakash.
spoilers if anyone in the audience hasn't seen it, go see that movie. But yeah, like when he narrates the Lakshmi story at first, like we all thought it was like a comedy, and then that's maybe a screenplay too, but at the end it's like, oh wait a second, that's darker.
Mhm.
It's a really
Yeah.
dark story.
Yeah.
And then
That's
the
brilliantly
villains.
written, yeah.
Yeah. And then the villain's performance in that too, Anurag
Anurag
Kashyap's
Kashyap.
Anurag
performance.
Kashyap.
Yeah, his performance is really brilliant too, right? So
and
yeah,
Singapore.
overall.
The other guy.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Singapore. He
yeah.
was a surprise.
Yeah.
He was a big
Yeah,
surprise. And after the way he played it, the way they wrote it, we absolutely hated him.
Yeah, just like everyone says, my favorites have got to be Amaran, Sivakarthikeyan, and Sai Pallavi. They were really good, and especially like Sai Pallavi. Like in the end, I'm sure like everyone watched Amaran by now. Okay, so like at the end, like she controls her tears, keeping the promise she made for Sivakarthikeyan's character. Like she never cries, but even then she still made us cry.
Yeah.
That's like really hard to do. So
Uh-huh.
like
Especially
it
the
affected.
whole,
Like even if I watch it like now, like it still hurts me like that. Yeah. And Amran, and then we got Mayalagan, of course.
Yeah, Mayalagan.
Karthi and Arvind Sami's characters, they were amazing. Like Karthi, he's like filled with like positive vibes, whether it's like in Tola or in Mayalagan. He's just there to like spread positivity and to change other people's lives and all that. That's like my favorite genre, for if you ask me.
yeah.
And then yeah, Maharaja Vijay Sethupathiy's character, and then I may be biased, but I'd also go with Jeevan and Goat. Like
Yeah,
that was
Yeah.
like a surprise for me.
it was a surprise because they didn't reveal in the trailer,
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
like
posters as well. They pretty much showed that both
like
Vijay
he's an
are
ally.
together.
Yeah.
The trailer, Goat trailer is brilliantly misleading in that sense.
Mhm.
Exactly. No,
They
yeah,
did a
exactly.
good job in trailer cuts in that one. They changed
And
the
like
background.
some
They
shots
Mhm.
weren't there.
changed some scenes. Like that's how you do a trailer.
The one thing I'll say to Leo team is don't announce the release date. That effed up
Yes,
everything.
please.
Yeah.
I think that's like the biggest issue with like many big movies out there. Like because they announce the release date like earlier or like even before shoot starts,
Yeah.
like they have to meet the deadline, right? So they just rush it. They just
Exactly.
give
Yeah,
us like
that's what
rush
happened
product.
with Leo. Yeah. So currently, in 2024, we saw like the slow rise. Like even in 2023, we saw small and medium budget films becoming commercially successful as well as getting critically acclaimed. A lot of people
Mhm.
are loving it. Last year, we saw with Dada, Good Night,
Chitta,
Portolil.
Double
This
X.
year, we saw with Labarpande.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about it? The small and medium budget films getting their much needed spotlight. So what are your thoughts about it?
I personally feel like since they have a lower budget, they can think big. Like if you see
Mhm.
Lumber Panther, Vare, Mayor again, small budget, they can think big. They don't want anything grand or extravagant. Big set, a simple village, natural locations, few characters that is well written with a well written story, which can connect to the audience. I personally feel.
So I think like, especially like post-pandemic, I've noticed like these smaller budget movies have been getting a lot more traction, right? I don't know if it's yeah, so one is just the audience likes them. And another, I see like, on Instagram all the double meme pages, like they also promote those films. And they are genuinely good, right? Like American was a really good one. Lover Panda was really good. Last year there was all sorts of other smaller movies that were good. And I think like having like a smaller budget really doesn't put the pressure on the filmmakers to deliver like a high-end product or something, right? Like I'm sure when Leo was getting made, there was so much pressure on Lokesh to deliver something, right? Big, and more grand. So I think like that pressure is not there, and which makes them more free to create a more detailed and fleshed out story, right? Um, so yeah, I'd say like honestly more power to them. And I think these, after seeing like Mayargan and Loverbanda and last year I think like Chitta and some other movies, and then I guess like Star as well.
Hmm.
I think like these lower budget movies are actually I tend to like them a little bit more now than
Yeah.
the higher
Same.
budget releases. Like, because they're actually very well developed. Nothing against the filmmakers that do higher budget movies like
Yeah.
Leo and Goat or whatnot. I'm sure they're doing like a lot of hard work. It's just the final output. I like the lower budget movies. I think they
Yeah.
come out better. That's all I was saying. Yeah.
Many of the fans, they're open to watching new stuff. Like even Goat, like simple rewrites they could have done to Goat to make it, incorporate the whole sci-fi element. அப்படி பண்ணியிருந்தானா, like I'm sure the majority audience would have accepted it.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why did Menon? I was thinking, why didn't Menon do the whole thing? Like the cloning idea could have been brought in early into the film. Like Menon, the villain character, was like thinking he can try to make cloning as a project that the Indian Army could accept, but they didn't, and they outlawed it. So he's kidnapping you, taking your name, whatever, to make that project come to life. But since Gandhi spoiled that, he's taking revenge on Gandhi by cloning
Yeah.
him or something like that, calling him Jeevan, actually killing the real Jeevan kid. And in the Mari, they could have done simple stuff and then made it like, incorporate that bigger in. And I was going on a tangent in mind. Like, in my Chin Chin rewrites Pani, they could have broadened the genre and, even though it's a star movie, incorporate it into it, expand on those ideas, and they still could have delivered a quality product. Like Manade, like it's a simple movie, but we never thought it would be about time loop and political assassination. Like
Yeah.
even though they made it one of the most entertaining Tamil movies I've ever watched.
Yeah.
So in Nimunan, like you said before, they are getting plenty of spotlight this year, and I'm just thinking, may the spotlight be bigger. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I haven't watched too much this year. Like I haven't watched Vale or anything like that, but like Ashwina's saying, they have much more space to, write whatever story they want, explore however they want it, and in whatever style they want. And that's what makes it much more entertaining in a sense. More satisfying. என்னமோ புதுசா பார்த்த மாதிரி you get that feeling. So that's why I just hope that much more of this come soon enough. Like even Maharaj in a sense could be if Vijay said we weren't in that movie, it could have been considered another low budget movie in a sense. So, and that movie was so satisfying to watch, like writing wise, less. So like that, the more the merrier to watch, and the more we can get out of it. And that too, as many of us as we know, we're all filmmakers here. This just gives us more drive, more ideas to work off of, bounce off of, and then innovate. So
Yeah.
for us, it'll be helpful as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, like the low budget movies, they're actually doing good nowadays. They're really good. Like in terms of like content wise and in terms of box office collections, they're making it big, and we're getting so many like new writers, new directors, and all, and new stories and new ideas. So each movie, it's unique in terms of content. So I really hope like we get more of these low budget films with amazing content. And nowadays I'm starting to get like less interested in big hero movies, big budget movies. Like most probably because of Vijay's political entry and his retirement announcement. Maybe that has affected my taste in films. So nowadays I'm like rooting for many of the young actors out there, like Sivakarthikeyan, Manikandan, Kavin, Ashok Selvan, Harish Kalyan. I've been rooting for all those. They've come a long way, and they deserve the spotlight. And yeah, hoping that they get like more opportunities. So yeah.
What are your thoughts about the toll culture that have been rising for the past couple of years?
Like it's becoming dirtier and dirtier as years pass by. Like the technology and everything, they change, but the fan wars, it's still getting like much worse. It still exists, but it's much worse compared to now. Like if you don't like a movie, you have all the rights to say you didn't like it. And if you didn't like a certain actor's performance, then you have all the rights to say that you didn't like it. But can't they at least express their opinions in a more respectful way? Because that's what's happening. That's something that's happening right now. Like especially with Kangua, like they even went to the extent of abusing
actors,
and Surya and everything.
You see, what do I get at? Yeah, it's obviously if you're going to do like troll like the actors or troll in the sense like abuse the actors, abuse the directors, the makers, like body shame them and whatnot, right? And bully them. That's wrong, right? That's not the right thing to do. But like like all the memes that come out on Instagram, not the ones that are like body shaming or anything, but just the memes on the movie and like where it went wrong, like logic plot holes or memes that point out those stuff out, right? I think that's sort of valid. But
Yeah.
I think what generally like I don't know if you guys are like on r/Kollywood, the Reddit subreddit for Kollywood movies, but
Couple of times.
sometimes like when it comes to like Indian 2 or Kangwa or like these movies that get trolled, uh they'll put out like memes and stuff like pointing it out, and I think like that's another kind of, I guess, way that people decide to do constructive criticism without getting deep into it. Now, and it kind of I hope it sets an alarm, at least those type of trolls like memes sets an alarm to producers like, okay, I don't think these movies exactly work for the public. If it does that, then that's fine. I mean, then that's maybe a positive outlook. But if it's like your like what you said about that old man reviewer saying he's gonna kill Sirte Shiva, or some nonsense like that. That's wrong. That's wrong.
Mhm.
So that's my stance on that. Like, I think there's a limit. There's a limit to trolling. There's a line you should not cross.
Mhm.
I guess like what role like the story did it had a nice story. I accept, but I
One
get
line was
this.
good.
Yeah, one liner was good when you hear it on paper, but when you take it on screen, yeah, it was horrible. I wish Siva could have collaborated with a team like how he did for Viswasam with the story and dialogues. He had a team for that. He should have done the same for Kanguva if he wanted his vision to be even better.
But the trolling culture, yeah, it's really got overboard. Like Ashwin
See,
said, there's always
even if
a
you
limit.
He didn't
And,
troll anymore. It was almost
and
verbal abuse. So
yeah, and one more thing, like for Kangua's results, the most common thing I've been hearing, it's like audience Tamil fans ku padam paaka theriyala. That's like something I've been hearing a lot. Like if you really think that we Tamil audience don't know how to watch a movie, then it should have went well in Kerala. It should have went well in Andhra. It should have went well in North India. But
yeah,
it was getting bashed everywhere.
yeah. I have respect for Surya, but the fans like it's weird. Like when Vijay Ajith movie comes, they'll bash it.
Yeah.
But like we will accept. Okay, some fans will accept that. Okay, there's criticism, we accept it. But I
Mhm.
don't get why they were like being so much butthurts.
Yeah,
Like
they're
I
like
get your hero put effort for 2 years, but that doesn't mean anything. Like okay, Vikram put effort for I, but what happened?
Yeah. But the
even
thing,
I
yeah, for sure.
but the thing with
Indians
the
too, like
trolling culture, it got overboard recently.
Hmm.
People trolling a lot with actors, celebrities, personal lives. We have seen a lot with lately with Vijay,
Mm.
Ajith being body shamed. So a
Yeah.
lot of problems like that got like we are all fans of Tamil cinema, but I'm pretty sure we don't do like that on, you know, we don't do that publicly
Hmm.
because we cinema will only grow when there's constructive criticisms and not trolling someone's personal life because okay he did a underwhelming performance like Surya. I'm sure he did a lot. He gave a lot of his time, a lot of effort because you saw the six pack that he took off at 49 years old, in
Hmm.
Kandua.
Yeah, it's a really big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
something
could
bad.
and you could say like this is one of the reasons why we're not that advanced compared to like the Telugu industry and compared to the and also compared to the Kannada industry. Like they got like thousand crores. They got like back-to-back 1,000 crore movies while we didn't.
Do you think Tamil cinema will be able to hit that 1,000 crore next year in 2025 with the films that we have in lineup? What are
I
your thoughts?
say,
So
yeah, probably yes, but like again, it all depends on like unity. The fans should stop fighting, promotion and content. Like if you look at Telugu cinema, I think it's 4 or 5 now already because the contents have clicked well, and plus, or it could be the reason the content has clicked well, and maybe the ticket hike could have worked, and plus aggressive promotion. If Tamil cinema can do the same thing, yeah, then sky's the limit.
the
There are a
yeah,
lot of things that
I saw a video actually recently about the same topic. Have you guys heard of the YouTube channel called Expert FX?
yep,
Exactly.
Used to
I
the
watched
I've
it
heard
VFX.
of
too.
it.
Okay,
they
so
do.
they covered this topic actually recently, and அவங்க வந்து என்ன சொன்னாங்கன்னா, like when you look at like Bahubali, Kalki, Triple R, KGF, these pan-India movies that did 1,000 crores, I believe, right?
Yeah.
What those movies, like, you know, when you look at their story and everything, like Bahubali, you know, they weren't ever like language specific. Like Bahubali wasn't like super into Telugu lore, Telugu history, culture, right? Triple R, like what I mean is all those movies, all any Indian can relate to those movies, right? But when you look at something like Ponniyin Selvan, right? Ponniyin Selvan was a really grandesque film. It was made very competently. It should have been a 1,000 crore success, right? But the issue is not many Indians could really relate to that because Ponniyin Selvan is a very Tamil story, right? Um, so that's one thing, right? Is making a story that all Indians can relate to. Um, and then I think another thing is just like budgeting, right? Like I think like one thing I respect about like the Telugu industry and stuff, is they know how to allocate their budget and time for like these movies. Like especially like Kalki. Like I think I heard Nag Ashwin, correct me if I'm wrong, said
Yeah.
something to Prabhas like, "Hey, this is gonna be the baseline salary we're gonna pay you. This is how much I can pay all my actors, and you know, this is how much it takes, like the budget for all the VFX and all the other stuff." Uh, you know, and he kind of laid it out like straightforward, like strictly to Prabhas and the other actors, right? And also the producers gave them time, and even for Kalki too, right? It's not going to release like next year. It's going to release like in 2 3 years from now, right? So they know how to like give the proper time for these movies to really flourish. And I think if the Tamil industry did was like that, right? Like they um like
Proper
I think
planning.
yeah, I think Arvind Swamy on the budget stuff, Arvind Swamy சொன்னாங்க like you know, the budget is really purely kind of the producers like fault, right? Like they kind of enable, they give that much because they like expect to make double the amount back, right? Like they have that expectation. Um but like if you know producers in Tamil Nadu or like you know realize, okay, hey, maybe we shouldn't give half the movie's budget just towards a particular actor. Um, I think the industry would just flourish because I think Tamil cinema has like a lot of very, very good talent. Um, it's just chinna mistakes like this that kind of prohibit from making 1,000 crores.
Like you said, it's not just for budget. It's not just for actually producing the movie, but if you look in Hollywood, they'll keep one side of budget that's usually like 100 million whatever for like a big movie, but on top of that they'll add an extra 20-30 million saying that it's marketing expenses. We don't know if they do such a thing in Indian cinema or Tamil cinema. Maybe marketing expenses is included within the entire budget of the movie. So if we're paying half of it to the main star, how much of it is left for the crew members, the other actors, then the final movie, and then
Exactly.
for the marketing? Because like இப்போ Telugu cinema, I'm not sure like how much the stars make there. Like I don't know how much Alloji made for Pushpa 2 or whatever, but I'm not sure. I'm sure it's not like half the budget. So they were easily able to put the money for the movie. At the same time, they could use that money to market it in Telugu. They were able to go to Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, North, all these places, and they could directly go there, market it, make the merch. Like they printed Pushpa merch, T-shirts and whatnot. I think they sold it or whatever, and then even Kalki, they did something like they did for a Batman movie, like that Gucci
Yeah,
car.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
yeah,
had it
that
tour all
web
across
Batman.
India,
series.
like
Yeah,
the soldiers, all that. That was new. Like they did Batman movie level marketing there, so that helped.
I
yeah,
did say about the story, like they could make something. If we made something that every Indian could relate, it could do good. I think that's true. And another thing, even if it's like something that's more Tamil-esque, right? I think I think it's just a better job of maybe marketing it because.
Yes.
When we look at Ponniyin Selvan, yeah, they had like Vikram, like the cast go to Kapil Sharma show, right?
Yeah.
Like the Kapil Sharma talk show. But what else did they do apart from that? I don't know. Did they do an
I
audio
think
launch there?
they did
Ponniyin
plenty. I
Selvan,
mean,
you're
they did
talking?
freaking for Ponniyin Selvan, I think they spoke in many different events in different states. At least
Yeah,
they
they did.
that's
Oh,
actually much
okay.
more than what most Tamil movies do. Like
What I believe that happened with Ponniyin Selvan is that it's more Tamil rooted than
Tamil centric.
like it's
Yeah.
not like an Indian kind of film like Bahubali or either Bahubali Triple R. Those films are much more relatable to. It's a more Indian sentiment film.
Hmm.
Triple R, when people see it, even in US, people are like excited to
Hearing-
see those kind of visuals and saying that okay, that Ramcharan, NTR are like they are representing us in the film, you know. So
Yeah.
that's something that probably what people are missing in Tamil cinema.
Because Ponniyin
Yeah,
Selvan, I
yeah.
think the content of Ponniyin Selvan is just very packed and dense. Like
Very
spending two
dense.
movies itself isn't enough. Make it at least a trilogy or a quadrilogy could have worked for Ponniyin Selvan because there's just
A
that
TV
many
web
characters
series.
and so
series.
much to follow. Like it's Game of Thrones மாதிரிதான்
Ponniyin
Ponniyin
Selvan,
Selvan.
yeah.
So it's just too much. You cannot make Game of Thrones into 3 movies. They needed all those 8 seasons. So I guess it was too much for other audiences to follow. That's the thing.
Well,
The
that
2.0
film
was the
Yeah.
closest we had.
Yeah.
that was close, but still the film isn't really memorable or something that people are still talking
Yeah.
about, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
big during that time because of those visuals and people
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, it's a big budget sci-fi film where they invested a lot, like an Avenger movie." But at the end of the day, just turned
It
out
was
that the
nothing.
film was only marketed for the grand
Visuals.
scale of the
Yeah.
film, but not in terms of story. Why Indiran is still relevant today? It's because of that story that people can feel like, oh, it's interesting, and it's actually I'm about to do a video about it soon. It's Indian actually predicted the AI that we are
Yeah.
experiencing, AI generation that we are today. So
Yeah.
what if a robot uh gets the
Being
emotion
sentient.
that humans have, like the sixth sense or some sort of, you know.
Sentience. That's the word, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sentience, yeah. Actually, I think Endiran was very inspired by iRobot, that Will Smith movie, which was, I think, also based off a book of the same name.
Is that
But
Isaac
I'm not
Asimov?
correct.
Based on Isaac Asimov's 3 laws, something like that.
Oh, okay.
They
But
I remember when the movie starts, they mentioned Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of I don't know something, but based on that, they wrote a story and then it became that. Yendran
oh,
was also
okay.
seemed to be inspired by Sujata's old novel. I think they said he wrote a
Yeah, I
novel
Okay.
back
heard.
in the 80s or so. Like even Vikram, the not the new Kamal Haasan way. I mean the old one that came in the 80s. That was like based on a novel that Sujata wrote.
Actually, now that I think about it, Endiran was supposed to be made with Kamal Haasan in the
Yeah.
very early 2000s, right? That was like
Exactly.
before
Exactly.
iRobot. So, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't
But I mean, they're missing
actually,
two rights in there. So
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
We'll
But
quickly, yeah, go ahead.
no, yeah, no, no. I think Endearin is still relevant today. Yeah, because the AI thing, as well as, I mean, the story was very much inspired by the Ramayana, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah, kind of,
Ravanan,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ravanan.
now that you
Right.
say
Even
it,
though
it's
that's why
actually
it released
accurate. Yeah.
on. No, no. Well, that's how I interpret it because it was also released in Diwali in 2010, I
That's
believe.
2010, yeah.
Dasaratri, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Indian was like a path-breaking film for Tamil cinema back in
Yeah.
the
yeah. It
days.
was, it was, it
Actually,
was.
probably many people don't know, like they are talking about Bahubali, but even before Bahubali, Tamil cinema had Indian that
That
was
was the
big
pan-Indian level
thing.
success for us
In
then.
Yeah.
2010, I remember like seeing on Sun TV a lot of
Oh, yeah.
things. They were showing that Indian was celebrated all around the world, everywhere. And even in Hindi, Rajinikanth became so popular because of Indian. People are talking about robot. Even in
Yeah,
US,
Shivaji, Robo, they all released that and
the Avengers film directors, I think the Russo brothers,
Russos.
Yeah.
they said that they were inspired by the film to do a scene for Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah, yeah.
they wanted to try something where Ultron's all of Ultron's bots assemble together and they, I don't know, form figures that the Avengers have to fight. Like Chitty became a Cobra and then all that.
Yeah.
They tried
But
something. They
that
wanted to do
didn't
something
work.
with Age of Ultron, but they felt it was a bit too much, so they didn't.
So speaking
I
about
mean,
box office numbers, what are your thoughts about fans being much interested about box office numbers?
I
Is it
mean, the collection doesn't mean it's a good film, right?
exactly?
Yeah.
That's one something. Yeah, that's
That's one thing fans
See,
don't get.
I remember back in the 2000s when like producers would advertise the movie like, oh, not that Iron was a really good film, but I remember seeing like advertisements like Iron running successful for 100 days,
it's
and
a
it's
great
like
count, kind of.
but it's just it's just running for 100 days. I don't know. I mean, it's a really good movie, but there are countless other movies that would say that running successfully for 100 days, 200 days, or something, and it's like, but you're just keeping it for there for that long. Um, and today it's like they have movie posters like this film made 500 crores, 1,000 crores, 5,000 rupees.
Can't go out there.
but uh it's just like it doesn't really mean that the movie was successful or not. It just means that you got that many people to come to the theater for your movie, right? Um, so I don't like. I think it just sets a wrong mindset for people who are watching movies. Like instead of looking at the art or trying to innovate, come up with more innovative movies, you know, um, it creates the wrong image for producers to just keep chasing the business numbers. I know they're a business at the end of the day. That what they care
Yeah.
about is making money, but it seems like also the fans or people who go, around saying this movie made like 1,000 crores, 500 crores, and they kind of enabled that mindset that all it is at the end of the day is money, which is important, but I think more of constructive criticism, and just appreciating the movie for what it is would matter more. Yeah.
I I feel like it's a more Nama cultural thing because
Mm, that's
more than being
possible.
constructive, we are more obsessed with being numbers. Like Chinoy Sunday, like when we're going to school,
Hmm.
they'll always compare us with other students and like even இவ்வளவு mark வாங்கியிருக்கான் இந்த mark வாங்கியிருக்கான் where are you ranking அப்படிலாம் சொல்லி we do that. We hate it as students, but for somehow when we grow up, we're like comparing with each other. Okay, how much did I get paid over this guy or that guy, or how much did my hero make more than this guy and that guy? Like we're very number based, and it's almost as if we find validation only in the numbers. It's no
Yeah.
more. It's less about the artistic merit. It's less about that. It's more about like how many YouTube comments, how many positive reactions, how many but what's the box office numbers in what's the box office number in like in this state or that state or worldwide. I feel like that's what it's the mindset we're all stuck with, almost like in a more as if we're coping with some sort of trauma that we have or whatever. But like it's something we're not told to think about things constructively or criticize constructively. We're more concerned about immediate results. It's like less the effort, more emphasis on the result. So no matter what you do to get there, just get it.
Mm.
Get 500 crores. It doesn't matter if like you're gonna charge like 1,000 rupees per ticket or whatever. Get it. Doesn't matter how if the movie's great or not. Make something sensational to get people in. Content முக்கியம் இல்ல. கடைசில collection தான் முக்கியங்கிற மாதிரி. That's like
Yeah, that became like a trend nowadays because fans are fighting only for the numbers.
Mhm.
Today,
back then it was number
yeah,
of
and they
days,
are
now
saying
it's number of
numbers that
crores.
are actually not true. You know, producers haven't confirmed if it's actually the official number, closing number. let's say for Veteyan, we are actually clueless if it did really well or not. You know?
Nobody knows. Like
Yeah.
Laika said in the first weekend it made 240 crores, but
And
then
then
everyone
that's
say
it.
like that's the
Yeah.
lifetime collection. Like, how does that even make sense? What vet and stuff running like from the second we first one day
Yeah.
onwards or what?
So
That's
that's a box
impossible for
office
Rajini.
thing. It's a huge issue nowadays for fans fighting for that. Like believe, and some people are still claiming that let's say for example, Beast.
Yeah,
They said Beast did well even though with the negative reviews, but that
and
doesn't
KGF.
make it as a worthy or a good film. You know?
Yeah.
It's
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. Actually, to tie this question to our last question about the 1,000 crore movie,
Yeah,
I guess like now because of like, Pushpa, Kalki, Triple R, Bahubali, KGF, whatnot, we're kind of
pressure.
chasing this ideal of 1,000 crore movie. I think, now that I think about it, maybe we shouldn't chase for the movie to achieve 1,000 crores. I mean, sure, it's an achievement, don't get me wrong, but maybe we should focus more on actually delivering an innovative movie
yeah,
or a movie with an
yeah,
innovative
yeah, yeah. That works too.
story
Yeah,
that is loved by all sorts of audiences.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
that's what we should really be aiming for.
It's like
Um,
yeah.
what is it? Even in like Three Idiots, Nanban, they say something like like வெற்றிக்கு பின்னாடி போகாத like or
பிடிச்ச தொழிலை செய்
chase
வெற்றி
புடிச்ச
உனக்கு
தொ-
அதுக்கு திறமை
yeah,
வளர்த்துக்கோ
yeah.
திறமை வளர்த்துனா வரும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி.
Just do what you're passionate about, or yeah. The same thing applies here. Yeah, yeah.
But before they can do that, they have to change a lot of things. The way Tamil cinema works, they have to change a lot of things in that, like we were talking about, how they split the budget, how they do marketing, like put a lot of money on marketing, put more time to go around, spread the word. Sun Pictures back in the day, like we were talking about Yandran, right? How did Yandran reach everyone? Like even in Telugu, Hindi, like that, they did the marketing everywhere. Like they went in Hindi, they gave speeches, they did audio launches there. They went and did a Telugu audio launch for Robo, same thing in Hindi. Like they branched out. Rajini went to all these states and branched out along with Shankar and A.R. Rahman. They did the work. And that's why the movie reached big back then. If they did that now, if Yendan released now, then if they did the same thing, it could have touched 100 crores, and 1,000 crores as well. So they gave up on the strategies a long time ago. They're focusing so much on Tamil, but they say pan-Indian, but it's almost as if they're doing releasing it as a formality to be like, okay, like we're getting bonus numbers and like that. But no, that mindset is getting them not really much anywhere. They were lucky with Leo and some movies making that much, but on the long run, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
If you want to get that goal, it's possible. But like Ashwin is saying, you need the right content for that. And then you have to build on that with proper planning, proper release strategy. Like the whole thing, like Tamil cinema, I feel like always shifts their release dates at the last minute with whatever feels comfortable and what feels right. And that doesn't work either. Like no other industry does that. And no other people of other states are willing to wait like that as we are. Like Gangua really was postponed at the last minute from October to November. They wouldn't do that in other states. Pushpa was only preponed by like a week, but they didn't postpone it like months or years like that. Or even if they did, they waited several months beforehand to postpone that date, which itself was okay. But I feel like they almost have like a procrastinating mindset or like a last minute and mindset. I feel like it's in Tamil cinemas. Like, you know what they say, we'll fix it in post.
mm,
அந்த மாதிரி mindset தான் I feel like it's so much permeating in Tamil cinema. So it's like the almost as if they're acting at the last minute, like, okay, what can we do now, kind of thing. But they don't think long run.
yeah. Quick thoughts about some movies specifically. So let's start with Veteyan. So what are your thoughts quickly about Veteyan?
So I
For
personally
oh,
liked it. Content-wise, it was good, but I think what Rajini said in the audio launch, content நல்லா இருக்கு, but எப்படி commercial பண்ணுவீங்க? Then I knew like, okay, something's gonna go wrong. it went wrong. But in if you look in Rajini's film, it's almost the same thing. Like he's walking, this and that, right? But I think this is like the first film in recent times, maybe after Ranjit movies, he's not saying punch dialogues.
Yeah.
It was
Keep a
good
character
to
arc
see
for the
Rajini
fighting.
like not do Rajini stuff, but at the same time, like I wish they avoided commercial stuffs. And if they had avoided showing that sexual assault scene, it would have been better.
Over
Because
and
at
over
one
again.
point it was overused and
Yeah, for me, I felt like, Vertan felt like a movie that should have been released in like 2016 or 2017. It was like a social message commercial movie. Not that social messages are bad, it's just at that time and during like 2015 to 2019, there was like a lot of social message commercial movies. Like you had Katti, for example, right?
Mm.
Katti was 2014, but still, besides the
Yeah.
point. But Vetan, the story social message aspect felt a little bit outdated. And then it was commercialized, right? So like if you look at like his previous movie like J Beam wasn't exactly a commercial movie, right? So he commercialized it, but there's things I like Rajinikanth's acting in it. It felt more natural. It didn't feel very over the top or like larger than life than like what was in like Beta maybe, right? Beta wasn't over the top. It's just larger than life. But like yeah, so it was a little bit more toned down or what is it? Realistic
Grounded.
or grounded. There you go, grounded. It was a little bit more grounded. But I think if it just wasn't a commercial movie, if, and I think something that I wish that big actors like Rajnikanth and Vijay and everyone, I don't know if it's them that's stopping this or if it's the producers that think that. But I think like when it comes to big star films, I wish that they could be free to make something of their own vision rather than commercialize it, so that a much wider audience can watch it. Um, so I think Vacant could have been better if it just wasn't a commercial movie. Um, but yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Okay. Vijay.
I don't know if I'm the right person to talk about it because
Mm.
Vertain one day it released on my birthday, although my 30th birthday. So that was really special experience watching it in theaters on my birthday itself. But anyways, I felt this is a bit more balanced when we're talking about like commercial content and like social commercialism and content. When it comes to that, I felt Vertain was more balanced than many other movies that we see these days. Like you have plenty of substance, you have a good plot and some good characters and all that. Plus you have some Rajinisms and all that to bounce it out. So personally, I felt it was all right, but it's true. It did feel like if it released in 2016 or so, it would have worked really well, like Ashwin mentioned. But otherwise, on its own, I thought Vertion is really good and worth a watch.
Also, another point I wanted to add, I know Harish mentioned the sexual assault scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was also like it was so overplayed. And one thing I have a question for like the Tamil movie makers is when it comes to commercial movies like this, why is like sexual assault like just over displayed, or like it's part of like all sorts of commercial movies. I mean, in movies like Chitta, it makes sense that's what that movie's about. But in a movie like Vetan, it felt like a little bit unnecessary.
Let's move on with Goat.
the God one. Okay, it's like a typical Vijay plus Venkat Prabhu style film. But even though the story was cliched, but it did have loopholes. At the same time, yeah, it was still entertaining. And I think what didn't work in Goat was probably this whole cloning, what in the post-credit scene.
Came out of nowhere almost.
Yeah, yeah. And then the flashback of and then the de-aging too. The teenager that was so horribly done. And then when Mohan was telling
Yeah.
Vijay
The
about this
Nali
whole
Deep
thing,
look
like I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's not convincing. It's not really convincing.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, it was just a fine movie for me.
Ashwin?
Yeah, I think when it comes to GOAT, it's like, Venkat Prabhu had I don't think the film's output was entirely his fault. There's other factors too. But when it comes to GOAT, right? Like Venkat Prabhu, his previous films like Manada and Mangata, right, and all the other films, they have a interesting. Manada had the time travel sci-fi concept, and it was actually done very well. And I think also when it comes to both Manada and Mangata, the competency, like the cinematography, everything felt like a very high budget, grandesque movie when I was watching those. When I saw Goat, it felt like it wasn't even just the story, like even just like the cinematography, everything, the editing, it just it just didn't feel like a high budget movie at all. It just felt like
They were
a
cutting costs
very
in some places. Yeah.
Yeah.
just ஏதோ சாதாரண படம் மாதிரி தான். It just didn't, yeah. So I think like, especially
Even
when I
with
was
that,
watching.
even with that level of budget, they couldn't.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's embarrassing, right?
Visually,
You
Leo
know,
looks far better than Goat, I'd say that.
Yeah, in
huh?
terms of quality, yeah, you're right.
The production
But
value,
I felt like
cinematography,
Leo,
VFX,
even though it had
everything.
its own issues, it
oh
was
yeah.
actually visually really good.
Like
It
in
was
Go,
Technique.
like
fantastic visual.
the sound mixing was so horrible. I couldn't hear most of the BGM. Like if you see the Moscow bike chase, I couldn't even hear most of the BGM. It was just like gunshots, the bike
Yeah.
sound. I couldn't even hear
Mm.
it. After when they released the OST, I was like, okay, it's good, but like
Yeah, they
very
tweaked it a
poorly
bit.
edited. It was
But I think
poorly edited.
it worked in like the metro sequence when Thalapathy
Yeah.
just standing there. Like that worked. But no, I understand your point though. But I think like, and then story wise too, it's like, you know, he could have done something sci-fi-esque, and it's like we discussed earlier. If it was cloning, they could have totally incorporated that. We could have had like a really cool story about multiple Vijay Jeevan clones like attacking um Gandhi's family, right?
A full sci-fi spy movie like that.
Yeah, and then maybe you could have also had some sort of a character arc between like actual Jeevan and the Meenakshi character. Like, one of the clone Vijays is about to kill Meenakshi's character, and Jeevan is just kind of standing there and like, does he enable this behavior of the clone or does he not enable this? Like, what are his limits? I just think there was so much opportunity there that was just kind of left because they just needed a simple movie to fill in the blanks
They're
for
playing it
now.
too easy. They're playing it safe.
Too safe. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't very hyped for it, going in. But I do wish I came out satisfied out of that movie, and I didn't come out very satisfied out of that movie. So yeah, and honestly, um, when Leo came out, like I obviously everybody here was probably really hyped for Leo, and it was kind of okay, right? The Leo. But after watching Goat, I have respect for what Lokesh Kanagaraj tried to do with Leo. I'm not saying that there's certain stuff in Leo that I don't like that flashback scene one bit in Leo. But I think like Lokesh Kanagaraj has like a good vision and good direction style, and yeah, Leo was like a B plus in terms of Lokesh's like filmography versus Goat just didn't. It felt like a. I don't want to offend Venkat Prabhu or anything, but it felt like a C minus product. I don't know. It just felt very average.
For VP
And
standards, yeah.
yeah. And Leo, I think gained more respect after watching Go.
Leo became
Like
much more loved this year thanks to Goat, I'd say. Like
Yeah.
the whole
after when I
Nandanda
watch
Leo Das line became such a meme template now. I think Goat had part of it to do with that.
Yeah, I think after when I watched Goat, I realized that biryani was so much better.
I haven't seen biryani in a while, but
Biryani was
that
quite good. I'll give it that.
yeah, it was. I mean, I remember it being entertaining when I watched it, like after years after it came from theaters. But
I felt like this movie played way too safe. Like when they're talking about the movie, they were like promoting. They seem to have like so many good ideas, and the whole cloning aspect out was sci-fi. They said there might have been time travel, whatever. Like all of those ideas, they seem much better than what they finally settled with in the movie. Like even in the movie, they're more focused on, say, the Vijay fan service, all that, and it's like the spy stuff they didn't get it fully in depth. The sci-fi stuff was only came like in the mid-credit scene. They brought in comedy and entertainment. As an entertainer, Goat really worked. Like the fan services, the Vijay fan really worked for me. The mass elements, the Vijay's acting as Jeevan, the Jeevan character really worked. Adala okay, but Maya Kadaya Patona is just really super like it's just basically Vijaykanth's Rajadurai.
Yeah.
That was good. That Maya Kada was good, yes. But there was much more they could do with that. Other one coming off of Manade, we expected so much more, be it story-wise or visually, technical-wise, and the Mari. Like
But even for Goat, I saw a lot of people saying that it wasn't really a Venkat Prabhu movie. Because I don't know if you have seen his earlier films, Chennai 28, Saroja, um, Goa, Mangata, right till I guess Mangata and maybe a little bit in
Biryani.
Biryani. He
Yeah.
has a unique flavor, turning serious moments with hilarious jokes. And Premji had a prominent role in making laughable moments, and it was much more
Crazy is much more
fresh
watchable back then.
because
That's true.
Goa, for instance, it was really new in Tamil cinema. No one has seen a holiday film with a very open.
Gay
They spoke
characters like
about,
that.
yeah, exactly. So they were pretty much ahead of the time, even though
They want hits.
it
That's
was
what they
pretty
wanted.
average as a performance at the box office. But that film was path-breaking, and then even Mangata having a big star doing an antagonist role, an anti-hero role, was something refreshing. But in Goat, what I felt is that it was missing. You know, it was more rooted as a Vijay film than, like some people said, the first earlier maybe 30 minutes was promising with the hilarious comedy track in between Vijay and Sneha.
Yeah.
It had potential, seriously. But afterwards, after Jeevan and the clash between Thalapathy and Ilya Thalapathy felt like it's going off to the cliche usual Alagiya Tamil Magan style, you know.
It's better than ATM in a sense, but still
Well,
not all the way up there.
yeah, well, his treatment as the antagonist role treatment was much better in terms of he was much more a serious villain, a threat
yeah,
for the hero. Uh,
yeah.
and but till the end he remained that character, he didn't decide to, okay, no, I will listen to not like in Nalagitama they ruined it in the climax. So next,
Uh,
Ryan.
Okay, 50-50.
Okay.
r-
Ashwin.
yeah, Ryan was one of those movies that looked promising. I I tend to like movies with that type of color grading and that type of style. It's kind of dark and serious and grounded. So I went into it like, okay, it looks like it's gonna be a good one. And the first half was like good. It was very Vetrimaran-esque and everything, or inspired by Vetrimaran and stuff. But like the second half, it's like I wish they didn't progress the plot like that. Like I wish the character arc was just a little bit better. Like it didn't make sense why spoilers. It didn't make
The brothers
sense
turn.
why
The
the brothers
brothers.
like start kill him. Like it was like they don't have that much fun with them, guys. Like I, it just didn't make sense. So yeah, from that standpoint, it's like a 7 or 6 out of 10.
Okay. Vijay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Ashwin on that. Like, well, when I first watched Ryan, I really liked it, but I didn't bring myself to watch it back ever since. But yeah, the first half, நல்லபடியா போய், second half, like, why did the brothers turn on him? That could have been developed even more. Like, Sandeep Kishan, okay, we can see that he's really, his ego has been touched, hurt by what Ryan said, and he went against it. But why Kalidas? He had no issue with Ryan at all, almost no issue. So they could have maybe done it more. Maybe they want to stand on themselves. Maybe they're just so frustrated being under Ryan's shadow. Maybe they could have developed that even more.
They could have developed even more. That's the
They
thing.
could have gone deeper. These movies could have gone deeper, like we're talking
It's an
about.
A film, it's a A-rated film, but I think except the violence, it wasn't really an
Yeah.
A-rated film. They could have trimmed it down, and it would have been like I recently saw it on Sun TV, and it was just like the typical action films that we get in Tamil cinema. So it could have been even more like Ashwin said, it had the potential, but they didn't explore it. As Dhanush didn't explore it, but we could see that he uses really well cinematic techniques to convey his ideas, like this color grading and cinematography. So as a conclusion to the year 2024, what are you expecting for 2025 for Tamil cinema, seeing the lineup that we have for big stars and also small and medium films? We don't have a lot of films being announced yet for small and mediums. I'm not sure, but for big films like Coolie, Thalapathy 69, Vidamuichi, Good Bad Ugly, Indian 3, Thug Life. So we have a lot of films, Surya 44, 45. So a lot of films are there. Even Simbu has a release next year. Pretty much, I think all the big stars are having a release next year.
Yeah.
Let's hopefully.
Yep.
But what are you thinking for next year? What are you hoping,
Yeah,
expecting?
let's just hope that all the films come out good because every year, whenever a big star movie comes, we all say, "Oh, let's hope it comes good," but it always turns out to be mixed reviews. Well, actually, most of the time it's mixed reviews. But let's just keep our expectations low and let's hope for the best. And the small budget movies, it always does well. It always impresses us, so we can expect the same. So. I hope next year Thousand Crows can come for one of the films.
Yeah, Ashwin?
Yeah, for me, I think definitely the lineup in 2025 looks very promising in terms of movies, Tamil movies, right? We have Coolie, like you said, Thug Life, with Thalapathy 69. So the movies I'm looking forward to, like big ones, are like definitely Thug Life. I actually just watched Nayagan like a couple of weeks ago, so I'm kind of hyped for Thug Life. Like I want to see what Money Ratnam has in store for us. And then I also I am sort of looking forward to Cooley. You know, I hope Lokesh Kanagaraj can deliver something like what he used to do pre-Leo, right? And I think he doesn't have the pressure because it's not like an LCU product. And also, I think he's using the same, I believe, writer or dialogue writer that he used to use for Master and Kaidi, or he used to have for Master and Kaidi. Um, so I have hope for that film. Telepathy 69. Look, I'm a Vijay fan. It's obviously like, this is his last movie, supposedly. And I hope they do a really good job with it. I've been hearing rumors, although I think it's just a joke or a baseless rumor that it's going to be a remake of Bhagwanth Kesari. If it is, why? Like, I don't like, it's just you could do a lot better and you could make something original. You don't have to do a remake. I just hope they're doing the right thing. I just hope they're sending off telepathy in the right way, and it's not, you know, it's not some
Great.
Sadharnama film
Yeah.
like Goat was, right? Um, Yeah, and then you have Vidamuyarchi and Good Bad Ugly. Vidamuyarchi looks interesting. I'll give it that. And then Good Bad Ugly, we'll just have
Yeah,
to see.
we have to wait and
Um,
see.
but other than that, I don't know. I don't know about the smaller medium ones. What smaller medium films
We
were
don't know yet.
announced?
No,
They'll
No one
just
knows,
come
right?
all of a
Yeah.
They
sudden.
only announced like a month or so before it actually releases. We'll see.
Maybe a dragon.
Oh,
Pradeep
oh,
Raghunathan.
maybe that's good. Maybe we'll get a sequel to Parking called Driving. No, I'm just joking. But
Or
no,
breaking.
wait, what? Breaking?
Breaking.
No,
I don't
breaking. Shifting gears. But yeah, no, but no,
Oh yeah,
I think
Parking was so good. I love that one.
Shifting gears.
Yeah, we
but
could use a sequel like that, Shifting Gears. Like that. Parking was such a worthwhile movie. I loved it.
no, it was a good movie. It got a little over the top at the end, though. I'm not gonna. It
No,
got
but
a
it's
little
okay.
too.
I think for that kind of story, for that kind, for what I was trying to go with, going over the top in the end was all right. So it worked.
Yeah, it
It
worked. Yeah.
like for that kind of story, for that kind of simple story, they can go over the top because it just makes it much more fun and entertaining, much more ironic. It's like ஒரு simple parking place space-காக இம்புட்டு ஆர்ப்பாட்டம் like straight up murder scheme எல்லாம் போறதுன்னா என்ன crazy that just makes the characters even more funny and interesting in a sense. So
Yeah.
in
That
that
is
case, I think
true.
the fact that they went like that in parking really worked in his favor. So plus again, had a nice punch in the end. So that's why.
Can we
Yeah.
see your thoughts about your expectations for 2025 and the films that you're probably looking forward?
I'd like to say I'm keeping them in check after what happened this year. Like Thalapathy 69, it's gonna be huge for him because now I've been a huge Thalapathy fan since I was a kid, and this is his last movie, like Ashwin said, and I just hope that Hitch Vinod doesn't do what he did with Ajith for the past 3 movies.
I think
That's all I'm praying for.
Ajith, it's
that
been
too.
did well for Nelkonda Parvai.
Yeah. But that's
And
a remake though. That's a clean
yeah,
remake.
but
So we cannot-
Tunivu, I felt that it was probably much better than what
Yeah,
we saw in
it
Valimai,
is.
Anyway,
Tunivu
but
was promising, but I know that they had
many things held it back
some
still.
mixed
So
bag.
Papa, if he can do something, if not in the theater genre, at least in that quality and consistency, then I'll be all right. But let's see. I mean, in any case, I'm gonna go watch that movie. It's gonna be like bittersweet for us. That's it. But Vidamurchi, I'm keeping my expectations so in check for that. I mean, that movie's been in the making for years, and like I keep saying, Ajit seems disinterested. The movie looks good visually. Magil Tirumeni, I think, is more like a hit and miss for me. Like Taram, I loved. Migaman, I couldn't get past the first 10 minutes yet, even though I heard it's great. But maybe that's just me. But so let's see. Vidamurchi, I'm not sure. Good, Bad, and Ugly, I'm actually hyped for because
Not continue work for you.
post Mark Antony, Adik seems to have changed for the better. One,
Yeah.
Let's hope.
and
Yeah.
Ajit seems like he's actually liking this movie. So if he actually seems interested, then maybe this movie must have something that pushed him
Yeah.
that way.
Why
Yeah,
not?
plus
Yeah.
fanboy Sambhavam, so definitely.
Yeah,
Of course,
he's a
Paka,
big
like
fan as well,
if it's in the Peta zone like that, then that would work really well.
Yeah.
Vikram zone and Mari, fanboy Sambhavam, and Prama Batina, Thug Life. If anything, I hope Thug Life reaches that 1,000 crore mark because Kamal Haasan and Mani Ratnam, already there's 2 big names there. And they're coming after what, 40 years almost, post
Yeah.
Nayagan. And they're bringing a new, updated vision of what all. And that first glimpse with the A.R. Rahman BGM, everything was just super good. Where he's in the desert and fighting all these guys. That I loved so much. So we'll see. I have hopes for that, big hopes for that. And then Coolie, Rajini is playing like a negative character, I hope. And Lokesh Kanagaraj is going to use it. And they don't have, Munadi up till like 2020 or so, 2022. Rajini had that, constraint. He has to keep his potential political image in mind and the Mari, so he cannot do too much, like go all out bad or whatever. But now that he said no to politics, I think he can go a bit. He can be unhinged. He can be more free. He's like, there's nothing holding him back anymore. So even if he wants to play full-on villain in Coolie, Lokesh seems like the guy who can pull it off. And actually, crazy little thing. I hope they release a black and white version of Coolie because that teaser actually looked really good in black and white. If they do something like they did for Logan and Coolie has a black and white version, I'd totally watch that. Like release a color version and that simultaneously.
But
that would
they released the recent song glimpse, They
that was
didn't
in
do it
color.
in black and
It's
white.
in color.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
they
it's in
do
color.
that if they can color that in black and white as well, then that'd be cool.
If they do
what
like
they did with Sin City and
Zack Snyder,
Logan. like what they did with Sin City, like the blood or some objects were only in color, but everything else is black and white. They did that for the Coolie teaser, and I loved it so much. Like
I did. I tried my
whatever
best
story
to
Lokesh
replicate
has in
that.
mind, I just hope he goes completely all in, and Rajini's like, hell yeah, let's do this shit, and then it'd be so good. Like I'm so hyped for Coolie in that sense. Abhi Patana. So
Yeah.
Thug Life and Coolie are the ones I'm most hyped for this year.
Great.
Yeah, same. Yeah, honestly, yeah, I think Thug Life I'm most hyped for first, like, and then Cooley second.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same for you, Harish. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just
Surya
gonna
44, I have
Actually-
some hope.
Yeah, I was gonna say Surya 44 with Karthik Suraj. I forgot that one. I'm looking forward to that one
Okay,
because
yeah,
I
that
generally,
one.
I
that would be
generally,
good.
Since it's
I
Karthik
like
Subraj, I have
Karthik.
some hope. I'll give it that. Karthik
Yeah,
Subraj is the only other director besides maybe
And
Lokesh
yeah,
that I
there's
have
also
hope in.
those Karthi films, Baba Tiare, I guess. They released a
That
glimpse.
looked all right. The teaser looked all right.
Yeah. So let's hope for the best for 2025.
Let's just keep the expectations low. That's all I can say.
In check.
that is
Post this
true.
year, I'm always keeping it in check. That's for
Yeah.
sure. But with high levels of hype for only a few.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So that concludes the 2024 Roundtable. I hope you all enjoyed this new initiative of mine. I always wanted to do a roundtable in the past couple of years, and thankfully I was able to do it this year. With all your love and support, I hope to do much more initiatives like this. So thank you all so much. I will put down the links of these creators' personal accounts in the description below. Make sure to check them out. Make sure to like, share and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you all in the next one.